Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Armchair Booking Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host. My name is Stunning Steve Barber. Joining me, as always, is my awesome co-host, the intellectual rock star himself, Delicious Dwaylon Davis.
Hey, everybody.
And, last week we had a very special guest on. We want to give, once again, a big thank you to NWF superstar, Star Rider, for coming on.
Absolutely.
The very first masked wrestler we ever had on.
Yep.
And for those of you who did not see that on YouTube, go check it out because Dwaylon and I are both wearing masks. And in honor of Dwaylon's mask, he's also wearing the Batman shirt to match the Batman mask he was wearing.
Yep.
Because, like I said before, with all his other nicknames, I'm not saying he is Batman. I'm not saying he's not Batman. But you never see him in the room together.
What's funny is my grandson calls me Bat Daddy.
There you go.
Because my nickname is Fat Daddy. Because like all the kids in the family call me that. And he was over yesterday, and we were like, who's this? Who's this? And he's telling everybody's names. I'm like, okay, what's my name? And he goes, Bat Daddy. I'm like, okay, that's
There
it.
You go. That's it.
Hope's
Bat
like,
Daddy.
oh my God, now we can't tell him anything because he just called.
But we were going to have an episode where we were going to review SummerSlam because we did preview SummerSlam. And although Dwaylon was not actually on that episode, he had sent his predictions. And another thank you to Justin from TNC Sports Talk for filling
Absolutely. Thank you, Justin.
And Justin, he said, obviously, we were going to get your input anyway, but he's like, yeah, it wouldn't be right if we wouldn't have Dwaylon's input. I'm like, well, exactly. So that's what I was like. I don't want to bug him on his vacation down in lovely Florida, but I will just for this. But
it was fine.
Yeah, but you were down.
I think I was actually sitting on the beach when I answered your text.
See, down at the Panhandle. I know. See, I know about that area. I love that area. So, but we are going to talk about SummerSlam for part of the episode, not the entire episode. One of the big things we're going to talk about is it's related to SummerSlam, some of the aftermath from that, and some other wrestling news. But one of the big things, of course, is Jey Uso is saying that he's left the WWE and his profile has been moved to the archive section.
Yeah, the alumni. Yeah.
Alumni, there it is. And I actually just looked to see, and sure enough, there it is. Besides fact, I actually just had it pulled up. He is and it defaulted, but I'm not going to go look for it again. But one of the people that's beside in the alumni is Jillian. It just says Jillian. Of course, we know, who she is, and we've never had Jillian on the show. However, we have had her ex-husband on the show.
Yes, and we have.
To me, that still counts.
Yes.
And we've also had the person who trained Jillian on the show. So it still counts. And Jillian, I think she still lives in Kentucky. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I know her parents still live in Kentucky. So, but if she ever wants to come on, hey, all right, cool.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not opposed to it. So, but speaking of shows and having people as guests on there, we do have a guest scheduled for right now for Wednesday. I'll go ahead and say, right now, Andrew Reed, NWF superstar. He's never been on the show before. We almost had him on, I think it was last year, and then it fell through at the last minute. I don't remember what happened, but I just remember he messaged me and said, I'm so sorry, I can't do it. We'll have to reschedule.
Yeah.
And here it is a year later, and we're finally rescheduling. But he is in one of the featured matches at the Northern Wrestling Federation Summer Sizzler Fan Fest going on this upcoming Saturday. He's going to be in what do they call it, a non-sanctioned match, which is another way of saying like a street fight, a no disqualification. I mean, it's going to be an all-out brawl between him and his former tag team partner, Joshua.
Okay.
So he's going to come on and discuss that, and amongst other things, because first-time interviewee, first-time subject. Yeah. We give them, a lot of questions to let the listeners and or viewers know all about them. And another podcast, and speaking of podcasts and interviews I'm going to be doing tomorrow night, our buddies over at the Dad World Order are going to have Noah Gabriel on their show, and I'm going to be at least watching the chat. I'm going to be part of the chat because Noah needs to explain his actions about what he did on our show.
Yeah.
Noah, you're disgusting. That's all I want to say. But I texted Mike from the Dad World Order and said, "Hey, does he have one of your shirts?" And he said, "No." He said, "I saw what he did to yours." And yep, whole world saw what Noah did to our shirt. So I
Yeah.
decided I was going to wear mine, just to show, that's not the only shirt of ours that's out there. So,
Right.
um, and Asia Reed is also going to be on, kind of a newcomer to the podcasting world. A guy named Kenny Cummins. I've actually met him a couple of times at some of the NWF events. Like I said, I think he's out of Lexington. That's how he
Okay.
can make it to the Covington shows, and it's not that far of travel
Yeah.
for him. Um, but he's going to have Andrew Reed on there. He's also had Riley Matthews on his show and some other ones. But he also has wrestlers from the organization that Larry D is
Mm.
part of, and I cannot remember. You know what? I will have to look up, because Larry D is actually on my Facebook page under his real name, which I'm not going to give it out, because if you don't know, you don't know. Um, I'll give it to you off the air, obviously. But let me see. Um, because Larry D is on his, like, basically his retirement tour,
Right.
and um, I cannot find the actual it. It's not Mid South, but it does have the word South in the title.
Hmm.
I mean, if that makes sense. So, um, and yeah, but Kenny, I mean, since he lives in that area, he has a lot of those wrestlers on his show. So he's able to go to a lot of those shows, which is actually pretty cool. Um,
Right.
but and obviously we always give a shout out to Ted the Hillbilly Heel.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because Ted is the Podfather. Ted no longer does social media, but you can always listen to his show, The Hill Truth, on any of your audio platforms. And he also has a YouTube channel. Just look up The Hillbilly Heel. Now he only does shorts right now, and he even tell you that
Hmm.
he only does shorts, but he puts forth a lot of effort into this stuff, and that's why he is the Podfather, and he's the one that connected a whole lot of us.
Yeah.
So, and one of the other podcasts that he connected to us was Wrestling with the Truth with
Hmm.
our buddy BC, and Jay is still on hiatus. He's taking care of some stuff, and you know what, we all have stuff we got to take care of at times,
Yep.
and I don't blame him one bit. Uh, but BC actually just started a wrestling group on Facebook, and I know he added us both to it,
Yep.
because BC's kind of like us. He loves the territory. He'll talk about new stuff, but he loves the territory days as well,
Hmm.
because BC is actually right about our age too.
Yeah.
So, speaking of which, I got 16 days before my age,
uh,
flips over.
yep. That clock's ticking, buddy. You're
Starting that
about to be
new
in the club.
Yes, starting that new decade. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but I mean, you know what? It's better than the alternative. So,
Exactly.
because we have friends of ours, unfortunately, who we knew back in high
That
school, who
didn't make it.
didn't make
Yeah.
it. And, so, also give a shout out. There was somebody, they were right there on my top of my head. And it's one of our other podcasts we always shout out. And of course, I already talked about the Dad World Order. Normally, I have a certain
TNC
order.
Sports Talk.
Oh, TNC Sport. Yeah. Got to give a shout out to Justin, TNC Sports Talk, because he's been helping us out, and he's always been out there putting us over. And, um, yeah, of course, the Mixtape Podcast, I did record an episode with them, still waiting for it to come out. I know we actually had some technical issues while we were recording it,
Hmm.
so I know I knew they said they were going to have to edit some of those, because it was some weird
Mm.
issues going on. Like with some of the music, it was playing like almost like 3/4 speed.
Oh wow.
Yeah, for some reason, but it didn't do it for all of them,
Yeah.
just some of them. And, um, of course, I always want to give a shout out to Jamie and John, the True Crime Cast / Bless Their Hearts. Right now, they have a fiction crime series they just put out. They actually wrote it. Them and some of their uh friends basically
Hmm.
are in it. and it's a pretty good series actually. I mean, there's only I think 9 episodes. Each one is maybe 5 to 7 minutes long.
Hmm.
Um, but it's a pretty good story. If you're a Patreon member of theirs, like I am, you would actually have heard it already or had the chance to hear it already. And so I already knew, I'd already listened to the whole thing. I'm like, okay, that's, that's pretty good. And they actually wrote it.
Hmm.
And right now it's, I don't, I saw Jamie had posted not long, can you hear the motorcycles and what sounds like four-wheelers outside my house?
Hmm.
Um, we have some people down the road that think that everybody's impressed.
Ah, gotcha.
All right.
Okay.
Um, spoiler alert, we're not.
Yeah. They, apparently,
So
they never left high school, apparently.
apparently. Let me see. I'm going to Jamie's page right now. And by the way, it's called Left on Dead is the name of
Okay.
their story. Um, oh, they are the number 65 podcast on the fiction drama chart. So I mean, it's already made its way up there.
That's awesome.
Yep. But when you have Chris Jericho in your corner helping boost it, that also helps. And so people will go give them a listen. That's how I found their show to begin with. And I've, been a fan of it ever since. That was about 2 years ago when they were first on Chris Jericho's show. They've had Chris Jericho on their show and they've been on our show. Unfortunately, right the day that we were doing the interview, you had a family emergency pop up like 30 minutes or so right before we were going to
Yeah.
interview. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh wow. So, but you said go ahead and do the interview because we
Yeah.
had also that was like we would have had to reschedule for like the third time, and you said go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah. I didn't want to do that. So
Yep, we need to have them back on so you can meet
yeah.
them. Because great guys, and of course you all live in Kentucky and I don't.
Right.
That's something else. And um, yeah, so what you can actually, if you go in our archives, by the way, you can actually see the episode where Jamie and John were on there. And Jamie actually talks about when they had Chris Jericho on their show and how about 15 or so minutes before they were going to record, he was laying on the floor in the fetal position because, yeah, because he was like, he was just that nervous that they were going to have
Oh
Chris
wow.
Jericho, one of his heroes, from,
Yeah.
and he's like, I can't believe we're actually going to have him on our show. And, so yeah, definitely go check those guys out. They're awesome. So, um, now have I forgotten anybody else? I can't think of any.
I don't think so.
But that's just my brain's kind of fried right now. So it's been some wild kind of weeks, sending out job applications, getting ready for my wife to have foot surgery. Just give everybody a heads up. My wife's going to be having foot surgery here soon. Um, when that happens, it may delay some episodes because I'm going to have to take care of her.
Exactly. I mean,
Yep. Yep. So, and my daughter's about to go back to college here in a couple weeks, and
hmm
so we got all sorts of stuff happening around here. Hopefully, I will get hired by somebody that I can do a job remote because my son's going to be homeschooling, so I need to be
right.
home for him. You know how that goes.
Hmm.
Yep.
Yep.
So, which by the way, I just want to throw this out there: homeschooling has become a lot bigger in the past couple
Yeah.
of years.
Yep.
For a variety of reasons. I mean,
Hmm.
um, by the way, for before anybody says anything, this is both sides of the fence. I'm just leave it at that. And people are
Yeah.
homeschooling.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
um, but I'm pretty sure people are listening or watching going, are they ever going to talk about wrestling? I have to say yes. Why, yes, we are. I feel like Phineas and Ferb. Aren't you boys a little young for that? Why, yes, we are.
Yes. Yes, we are.
I
But we're
love
going to
that.
do it
We're going to do it
anyway.
anyway. So some of the news that has come out in the past week, and one of the first things, unfortunately, I can't pronounce his actual name, so we're just going to say Big E Langston or just Big E.
Yeah.
One third of the New Day.
Hmm.
He has been told by doctors he more than likely is never going to wrestle again.
Yep. Which sucks. I mean, sucks for him because I know like wrestling was, you know, his dream. Sucks for us
Mm-hmm.
fans because they had really just scratched the surface of what Big E could do as a
Yeah,
single star. I was hoping he'd get a legit world title reign that didn't involve losing it to Brock Lesnar.
yeah.
Fun fact: Every black WWE champion has lost their title to Brock Lesnar. The Rock at SummerSlam 2002. Brock beat The Rock before Rock left for Hollywood. Uh, he beat Bobby Lashley for the WWE title. He beat Kofi Kingston for the WWE title.
That
He
was an
beat
absolute
Big E.
travesty.
Yep, and he beat Big E for the WWE title. Those are the only four black men that have held the WWE championship.
Yeah.
Mark Henry and Booker T held the World Heavyweight Championship, but neither of them held the WWE title. But every black man that's ever held the WWE title has lost that title to Brock Lesnar.
I mean, we could definitely go down some rabbit
There's a
holes with
rabbit hole
that.
we could go down.
You know,
I don't know if I ever mentioned that to you, so I thought I'd just throw that
I don't
out
think you ever
there.
had, because that would
That
make me go, really? And I'd have to go start looking it up. But yeah, I mean,
that's
you've already done the research for me, obviously.
Yeah, that's a definitely should be a future topic, because it's just kind of weird that Brock Lesnar is the common denominator to all their championship losses. So
what they did to Kofi was absolutely
ridiculous.
It was rude. I mean,
yeah.
And not even give him a chance to get it back either.
Yeah, they just automatically pushed him back to the mid card. It's like back to the tag division just instantly, and it's like, I get that Kofi was doing his job. He did what his boss had said to do. But I would be like, no, I'm gonna need my rematch for the title. Even if you match, not me go for the Trouble in Paradise right off the bat, get caught in an F5
and done. One
it's
F5
over.
Done.
Yeah. One F5 and it's done. After all that stuff Kofi did to get to WrestleMania and win the title. And then Kofi was a good champion. He just wasn't given good stuff to do. I mean, he had some decent feuds, like the feud with Orton was good because of all their history. But it's like, it's one of those, okay, we gave you what you wanted. So now we're going to hurry up and get through this so we can get back to what we want to do.
People loved Kofi as champion.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's why people were so furious when Brock beat him in 9 seconds. I mean, it made no sense. People loved Big E when Big E was champion. That's why people were furious when Brock beat him at day one.
Oh yeah, that absolute ridiculous pay-per-view that nobody asked for.
Yeah, and that they haven't had since. If you notice, they got taken off the books because it was a crap idea and a crap pay-per-view. Nobody wants to watch wrestling. I'm sorry, nobody wants to watch wrestling on New Year's Day. People are either hungover from New Year's Eve. People are watching sports all day on New Year's Day.
Bowl day.
Yeah. So you're not going to have your wrestling audience. You're either going to watch bowl games or day one pay-per-view. Bowl games always win. Just like you can either watch March Madness or
WrestleMania.
An episode of Raw or WrestleMania. Yep. March Madness is always going to win.
Or yeah, the March Madness now, and because the Final Four, it's 2 nights, Saturday and Monday.
Yep.
Me personally, I think they ought to move it to Friday and Sunday, because nobody wants to start watching a game at 9 o'clock at night on the East Coast.
Yeah.
But I know they do it because of the people on the West Coast. But have you noticed that all the teams on the West Coast are starting to join the conferences from the East Coast? But that's another story. That's been a weird thing. I've given up trying to keep up with it.
Yeah, I can't keep up with it either. It's been crazy.
Yeah, Stanford trying to join the ACC. I'm like, Atlantic Coast Conference.
Yeah,
not a team from California. But anyway. but
it's unfortunate that Big E, and I think Big E's going to follow his doctor's order.
I think
maybe down the line he'll be able to come back like Edge and Bryan Danielson were able to do. But if not, I mean, he's already had a stellar career. He was, had a great reign as NXT champion. He's been the Intercontinental champion twice. record-setting tag team run with the New Day,
Hmm.
and you know, a former WWE champion. He's won Money in the Bank. I mean, he's had a great career. It's just sad that it was cut short on an accident. I mean, it
Yeah.
wasn't, can't even call it a botch. It was just an
I,
accident.
I was watching it when it happened, and I remember texting you and asked you if you were watching,
Mm,
and I said I think Big E just got hurt like badly.
yeah. I went back and watched the clip like several times, and you could just tell it was just a matter of Big E's so big, Rich Holland couldn't get him all the way. You know, he tried, he did the belly to belly suplex, but he couldn't get him all the way over because Big E's just massive. And it was just a freak
He's
thing.
280, 300 pounds of muscle.
Muscle. I mean, he was a power lifter. I mean, he's just all muscle. And when he landed, all that muscle
On his head.
came, yeah, he came down on his head and all that weight came down on his neck. And you could tell he was hurt, especially by the way he was like moving his arms and his hands and stuff. You
Hmm.
could tell he was hurt, but I'm glad that it didn't end up being, he didn't end up being paralyzed. I'm glad he's not in any pain because the last interview that I read that he had, where he said that doctors advised him that he shouldn't wrestle again. But he said he right now he was just glad to be pain free and be able to, move around like normal.
And ironically enough, him having all that muscle is probably what kept him from having even more
Yeah.
severe an injury or getting killed.
It probably helped him from becoming paralyzed or breaking his neck and getting killed. Yeah.
I wonder if Stone Cold Steve Austin reached out to him to discuss it because I mean, it's not exactly the same way,
Hmm.
but I mean, Steve Austin, of course, broke his neck
Hmm.
technically in the ring. From
Yeah.
that one was, I mean, I'll call it kind of a botch
Hmm.
because Owen
That
had him
yeah,
placed too far down.
yeah, that was a botch. Yeah, because Owen didn't have him. You know, Owen had his head too low for a sit down power bomb. A sit down pile driver. I mean,
Right.
but the Ridge Holland Big E thing, that was just an accident,
Yep.
and unfortunately, things like that happen in any sport, but especially pro wrestling.
I think the overhead belly to belly suplex, they need to get rid of that anyway. Unless, I mean, it's to me that
Here's the
move's
thing:
always been dangerous.
it's always been dangerous, and there's only been a few people that could do it successfully, that could do it to where the opponent is protected, but it still looked lethal. Kurt
Brock,
Angle,
yep,
Scott Steiner, Brock Lesnar.
Brock Lesnar.
Those are the those are the only people that I can remember that have done that move. Well, I take that back. Chad Gable, because Chad
Oh
Gable
yeah,
can do it. Um, but it is a very short list of wrestlers who can. Oh, sorry, Taz. Um, I keep thinking, but it's still a short list of people that
yeah,
can do
very
it and
short.
make it look
Well,
believable,
they could do it to
but
almost anybody.
yeah, and make it look believable, but keep it safe at the same time.
Right. And one of the things, we talk about Brock Lesnar, and we'll hit on SummerSlam a little bit. Brock Lesnar, I mean, if you look, he does like every kind of suplex there is. So of course his belly to
Yes,
belly,
yeah,
it's part of that.
yeah,
And but I mean when he grabs a suplex, I mean he does it quickly. And I think some of the people, if you notice, all of a sudden he'll stop doing the Germans, and I'm thinking they're telling him, "Hey, lay off the Germans because you're prone and you can't protect." And they're like, "Hey, you're kind of hurting my neck a little bit.
yeah. You
Do
can't
something
protect
else."
yourself on a German, yeah,
But
unless you're John Cena, who always put his elbows down, which just go flat. It seems
yeah,
like it'd be
that
better to go flat than to put your elbows down, but
see a lot of the scientific stuff you can learn in wrestling. Y'all don't believe me? You lay down flat as much as your body hitting the canvas at the same time means it spreads the impact over that much of your body. The
exactly.
less the less you have hitting, the more the impact's going to hit on that one spot.
And you bringing that up reminds me of a TikTok that I saw. It was a little snippet of an interview with DDP. His last match in WWE was on SmackDown against Hardcore Holly. They went for a uh, they went for a superplex, except DDP didn't get to extend all the way out, so his body could come down flat. He came down on his shoulders and his
Ooh.
neck.
Hmm.
DDP is a big guy. He's probably 250 pounds at least. And even Hardcore Holly knew he landed wrong because he said Hardcore Holly was like, oh, he made this grunt like, oh, I know that hurt. And DDP's like, yeah, he's like, it was real close to being real bad. He's like, I hurt for a long time after that. He's like, because you, like you said, you want to go flat so that
Mm-hmm.
that that impact is distributed through your body and you're able to pop back up and do what you got to do next. He's like, but I landed on my shoulders and the back of my neck.
Full
I mean, he
impact.
and he showed the clip and it was, oh yeah, it was nasty.
And it was full impact from a little over 5 feet up of
Uh-huh.
about probably about 500 pounds because you got to think
Yeah.
the combined weight of those two guys.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and well, speaking of people learning how to do bumps, if you watch the show Heels, they actually go through some of that. And the
Hmm.
reason I bring up Heels is because the show, they're in their second season right now, and they've had at least 2 episodes. I think they've actually had three. I've watched the first 2 episodes, and if you watch last season, you would know some of the stuff leading up. And I do recommend what you don't have to watch the first season, um, but because you won't be lost if you try to watch
Hmm.
it because they're doing flashbacks to kind of bring everything. But there's so much in the first season um, that they haven't explained yet in the second season. And if the second season all it's doing is explain the first season, well, what's the point? They need to bring in new stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, but yeah, Heels is back on, and one of the people who's been on Heels in a small but recurring role is a man who's been credited with the name Phil Brooks.
Hmm.
Phil Brooks is better known as
CM Punk. And Punk is an apt name for his behavior right now. Because, okay, we talked about this before we started recording.
yep,
CM Punk is a draw, but for all the wrong reasons.
yep,
Back in 2011, when he did the pipe bomb interview promo, you know, beat John Cena at Money in the Bank, won the WWE title, all that. He was hot. He was the most talked about wrestler in pro wrestling at that time. Problem is, CM Punk has never gotten over that. It's like that's as big as CM Punk has ever gotten in his professional career.
that's his peak right there.
That was his peak. And even I mean, he was WWE champion for 434 days, but he was never the man. He was the champion, but he was never the man. He never he never main evented pay-per-views as the champion unless he was wrestling John Cena. Otherwise, he was generally the second to last match, which is not where the world champion is supposed to be. Unless it is just a massive match like Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker from WrestleMania 26, where it was the career versus the streak.
Yep.
Everybody knew Shawn was going out. That deserved the main event. That kind of eclipses everything else on the show because it's like you have one of the absolute greatest wrestlers of all time in possibly his final match ever. I say ever because that other thing that he did when he came back after 8 years, that didn't happen. As far as I'm concerned, that's
That
no, nah,
that
no,
ridiculous thing they did in that country in the Middle East.
yeah, nope,
You know,
it didn't happen. He retired at WrestleMania 26 and has never wrestled since. Um, but that was CM Punk's peak was 2011. CM Punk has been an excellent pro wrestler. He's a great worker. Promo skills are off the charts. You know, he helped bring Ring of Honor into prominence. He brought eyes back to WWE that had long since left. You know, he got the world talk. He got the wrestling world talking about him and pro wrestling. But that was 2011. It's 12 years later, And CM Punk still thinks he's at that peak. He's not. And by Tony Khan catering to him and basically giving him whatever he wants, he has, they're pulling the old, I wasn't beaten for the championship, so I'm technically still the champion, which waters down MJF's world title reign. People have been waiting for MJF to get the world title. He's got it. Now the old guy shows up with the belt in the bag, and then he puts the X, he spray paints the X on it. So not only are you stealing a gimmick that's been done better years before. I mean, Shawn Michaels did it with the Intercontinental title when him and
Yep.
Razor were feuding. I mean, even CM Punk was involved in it when WWE decided, oh, we can't ride out the summer of Punk. We got to wait. We got to wait 8 days and then crown John Cena as WWE champion, just for Punk to come out, and then we've got two world champions that we have to deal with.
And spray painting the belt's not an original idea either.
No, it's like NWO is going to want their they're going to want their cut of that because that was kind of their thing. And yeah, he puts the big black X on it. Says, he's like, that's always been my symbol, and blah 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 blah. And I'm still the champion until
That's not
somebody
his
beats
symbol.
me.
That's Elon Musk's symbol.
Yeah.
Something else we were talking about before we start recording.
Yeah. But it's like, and it's like, I mean, basically Tony Khan's given CM Punk his own show. The new show Collision is where CM Punk always is. He's never on Dynamite now. He's on Collision. So you've got, and here's the thing, like with Shawn and Razor, Shawn got suspended for 30 days because he failed a drug test. They didn't strip him of the title, but they had to have another champion because they needed the mid card title active, while Shawn was out for 30 days. So then they worked it in to where Shawn comes back with his Intercontinental title. I was never beaten for it, and they even worked the suspension into the story and was like, he got suspended for, like, I think hitting a referee or something.
Something, yeah.
Yeah, to make it work with the story. This is just, I'm way past my prime. CM Punk, I mean, way past my prime. I've won the AEW championship twice. Each time I got hurt. That's the universe's way of saying, you're not built for this anymore. Your body's not holding up. But instead of doing that, we're just going to coddle him and let him hold on to the world title, call himself the real AEW world champion. He's even defending the thing on Collision. He defended it against Ricky Starks, and it was, he's the real world champion, which is not original either. Ric Flair did that.
That's not original.
Ric Flair did that in '91 when he came to WWE, and
with the big gold belt.
With the big gold belt, the one that's behind Steve right there. So it's like, at this point, it's like, okay, AEW is trying to be the alternative to WWE, and they're doing a damn good job, I feel like. But if they keep letting this dude be, as Kyle would say, be a malcontent and be just poison to the locker room, I mean, he's basically calling the shots on that show. Ryan Nemeth, who is Dolph Ziggler's brother, CM Punk doesn't like him because when CM Punk they were talking about him coming back and all this, Ryan Nemeth put a tweet out that said, at least the softest man in the room is finally getting his way, or something to that extent. So CM Punk got mad about that.
Shots fired.
Yeah, and basically Ryan Nemeth was flown in to compete on Collision, gets to the hotel, gets ready to go to the building, gets called and says, don't come to the building. We've booked you a flight home. That happened to him. Happened to Matt Hardy, happened to Christopher Daniels, who is head of talent relations, and head of talent relations was told not to come to the building. Hangman Page was also flown in for Collision and then told not to go to the building and sent home. CM Punk cut a unsolicited promo about Hangman Page after Collision went off the air, that they were still live at the, at the arena, and talking about how Hangman's a peg holder because he went to the store and the only AEW figures he saw was Hangman's because nobody wants to buy them and all this stuff, and just constant. It's like, dude, what is wrong with you? Get over yourself.
He's like the Terrell Owens of
Yes,
wrestling.
it's like at this point, and it's like, of course, he's going to wrestle it all in, which bravo to AEW, and I mean that with all sincerity, because they have broken WWE's record for that has stood since '92 when they had SummerSlam in London and Wembley. Uh, they're looking at about 80,000 people at Wembley Stadium for All In.
Man.
Yeah.
And I can
CM
tell you,
Punk,
I've been in that stadium. It's huge.
Samoa Joe challenged CM Punk to a match at All In. What I need to happen is I need Samoa Joe to just maul CM Punk.
Shoot on him.
Yeah, just shoot on him and beat the crap out of him and send him on his way. And I usually don't do that about a wrestler, but it's like, and I was a big CM Punk fan. I still enjoy his Ring of Honor stuff. I enjoy a lot of his WWE stuff, but it's like, just go away. It's at this point where it's like you're not adding anything positive to the product. And the only reason you're a draw is because people are tuning in to see what you're going to do next, and not what you're going to do in the ring, but what stupid thing are you going to say on the microphone, or who you're going to try to get rid of, or because to me, I feel like at this point he sees Hangman Page as a threat. So he's doing whatever he can to keep Hangman Page away from him, because there's no way that he hasn't seen online that most everybody, myself included, did not agree with him coming in and beating Hangman Page for the world title.
Yeah, I didn't agree with it.
No, because the story that they told a perfect story over 2 years of Hangman Page getting to the main event scene and finally beating Kenny Omega for the title. Then he's the champion. He has had a great feud with Adam Cole. Things were going good. CM Punk comes in and boom, we're just going to put the title on him. CM Punk has become the Brock Lesnar of AEW.
Yep. Except for Brock Lesnar is actually Brock
Still a draw.
Lesnar, look, yeah, he can draw. I mean,
Yeah.
and I'm not I mean, and I will give respect to Brock Lesnar for the things that he can do. I mean, because he looks the part, he's gigantic, he was able to F5 almost, and that's one thing, but that's all we want to see out of that match is him F5 and
Yeah.
see if he could.
Yeah. And he did.
And he did, and I'm pretty sure he was like, I don't want to do this multiple times because my back already hurt from picking this big guy up.
And he hit him with a German suplex.
And he hit him with a
German.
I mean,
but,
yeah. CM Punk, he doesn't have the ability because Brock Lesnar, he's legit anyway. I mean, he's an former NCAA wrestling champion.
mm-hmm.
And he's got this long history, of these kind of accomplishments, legit accomplishments.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that his attitude was always the best,
No, but I think this
up.
Brock, since Lesnar's come back and we've got like Cowboy Brock, this has been like his best run since his rookie year, because you can tell he's actually enjoying himself, and he's not just there, he's not just there basically because Vince McMahon is pushing him to the top of the card and all this stuff. You can tell he's enjoying himself, and he's putting people over, which several years ago we couldn't say that. He was just coming in, destroying people for no reason, being the champion forever, barely wrestling, But now it's like at SummerSlam, the match with him and Cody was excellent. One of the best matches on the card.
Good psychology, that match. Oh my
and
Lord.
The show of respect that he gave Cody Rhodes after that, because none of that was part of the script. They said that was not supposed to happen. That was Brock going off script and legitimately showing Cody Rhodes respect.
which to me shows Brock Lesnar after this many years. You
Mm-hmm.
couldn't have said this about his first run. You couldn't even say about the first half of, when he came back, the first half of his second run back, you
Mm-hmm.
know, because he was still all about Brock.
Yeah, it was all
Yeah,
about Brock, and it was all about the money.
exactly. And when he had the match against Dean Ambrose, when
Mm-hmm.
Dean was wanting it to be like a competitive thing, Brock was like, I don't think so. And he just threw him all over the place like he was a little
Yeah.
rubber bouncing ball.
Mm-hmm.
And so all he cared about was Brock. Now, he's actually putting people over clean. Now he is making, because during the SummerSlam match, he kept throwing Cody out of the ring, telling him, stay out, stay out. And then Cody kept coming back in. And Brock was like, fine or whatever, but
Yeah, and
that
like every
helped it.
that helped. Yeah, that helped it. That helped the respect. That helped the story. Like you said, the psychology was great. Cody would, Cody would be outside the ring, and the ref would get to 9, and Cody would barely make it back in, and you could just see it. Even Michael Cole was like, I can't believe Cody's still doing this, but he's pissing Brock off.
Yep.
And you could see it. Brock was like, just stay down. But at the same time, you could kind of see the respect that he's like, what is it going to take? I've beat the
Right.
crap out of this dude, and he keeps coming back.
And Cody got the 3 Cody cutters? No, not Cody cutters. The
The crossroads. Yeah.
crossroads.
Yeah.
Which is, to me, it's still a weird move the way you do it. I mean, but he hit him with 3 of them. Didn't try to pin him after each one. No, it was like boom, boom, boom. Then I'm
Yeah.
gonna pin him.
Yeah. It was like, no, it's going to take more than one to try to beat him. And then, again, great psychology. It's like, I got to put this monster down, and it's going to take everything I got to do it. But the show of respect made me have a lot of respect for Brock Lesnar, because especially when I found out that that wasn't part of the
It wasn't part of
story.
it.
No, that was
Brock
legit.
Brock knew how much it would add to it.
Oh yeah.
And he's
Well,
probably one of the few that can get away with, going off, the
yeah,
plan.
yeah,
Now, well, he would go off the plan before, but it was like, no, I'm not going to make myself look weak. I'm just going to bam, bam, bam,
yeah,
bam, bam.
yeah.
Now I
Got to keep them
realized,
strong.
yeah, but now he realizes that doesn't always work, because it's making people not want to see you.
Yeah. And Cody was already over. Cody's been over since the day he walked back in the company. Now he's even more over, because not only did he beat Brock Lesnar and beat him clean,
Mm-hmm.
Brock Lesnar showed him respect, like sort of passing of the torch type of thing. That's a big thing, because Brock don't do that every day.
No,
So
he doesn't.
that's abuse. Like, and Michael Cole said it excellent. He's like, he's like that show of respect after Cody beating Brock Lesnar. Cody Rhodes has arrived, and yeah, I mean, Cody Rhodes is going to be the face of that company
And I think people,
sooner. I think sooner rather than later.
oh, I think so too. And I think when he came back, of course, he came back at WrestleMania last year, so
Mm-hmm.
roughly a year and a half ago. And then he immediately got hurt,
Yeah,
and it was ugly because his whole chest was purple.
but he proved himself to the fans then with a completely torn from the bone pectoral muscle. Went 40 minutes in Hell in a Cell with Seth Rollins.
Yeah. That hurts me. I don't even want to rewatch that, because it just looks painful. Um, then of course, he came back and he was, he won the Rumble, and then he was, of course, now he's in the main event at WrestleMania, at least, for the title. And I
Mm-hmm.
think a lot of people were kind of put off by that. They're like, wait a minute, he's barely had any matches. And as much as what we
Mm-hmm.
love Cody Rhodes, we say it might be a little
Mm-hmm.
bit too early. And, so now that I think that may have been one of the reasons why they brought Brock in, to
Mm-hmm.
turn heel on him, beat him down, smack him down like he stole something, and then
Yeah,
turn
it
around and
gives
let him.
yeah, it gives Cody a real mountain to climb, and he's helping other people along the way, because he wrestled Dominic at Money in the Bank,
Yep.
and you know helped Dominic along, because Cody's an excellent pro wrestler at every aspect of the game. So that's only going to help Dominic by being in the ring with somebody that good. Then he has the feud with Brock Lesnar. He gets Lesnar's respect. He's one of the few people that beaten Brock Lesnar clean. It's telling a great story. They've just got to end it well. He's got to win. Honestly, he has got to win Roman's title. Whether Roman has it or not, he's got to win that title because
Yep.
that's the story finisher. Seth's title is not the story finisher because the story is a Rhodes has never been the WWE champion. That's the title Cody needs to get.
And one of the things, and I'm going to kind of start kind of transitioning into talking about SummerSlam. One thing is also about Brock Lesnar. And yes, by the way, I absolutely agree that Cody should win that title, like you said, whether it's from Roman or whether it's from Roman's successor, whoever.
Yeah.
Cody eventually is going to have that title, not the IC title, not the US title, which, by the way, congratulations to Rey Mysterio beating Austin Theory.
I also found out that was the original plan the whole time, was for Rey Mysterio to beat Theory for the United States title. What happened was when they had the little tournament thing, Rey got a concussion. So that's why Santos Escobar ended up winning the tournament because Rey couldn't finish it. He got a concussion and couldn't wrestle. So then they had Santos Escobar win the tournament. He was scheduled to face Theory. Theory jumps him backstage. Rey takes his spot, wins the U.S. title. So they get back to where they wanted to be. They just had a little bump in the road.
By the way, kind of a side break for a second. We totally forgot about Professor Bear, and the Wrestling Society
Professor
Network.
Bear, yes.
Because we've been trying to get something in the works with, and oh my lord, the dead. Finisher Wrestling. How did we forget Finisher Wrestling?
Sorry, guys. We're old. I'm sorry.
We're old, and I promise we have been trying. Hopefully, like you said, this Friday, hopefully we can all record together on their show because they have an excellent show. Go check them out. They are great wrestling analysts. And if you like analyzing stuff like the way we do, you'll definitely enjoy it.
Yeah.
This shows we're getting old. And when we go 4 weeks without doing a regular show,
it throws us off.
It throws us off because doing an interview show, we can't give as many shout outs. It just doesn't flow as well.
Right.
So it's been a few weeks and I should have had my list laid out to make sure I didn't forget it, but it's been a while since, I've had to do it from memory, but we apologize to everybody who we did not get shout outs to earlier. Don't worry. When I post it, especially on Twitter, I will tag all of you.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But like I said, speaking of SummerSlam and speaking of Brock Lesnar used to have the reputation. It's like, well, why is he always in the first match? Because homeboy was getting on his private jet and leaving.
Yeah, he was leaving. Right after. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Plus, here's the thing too. Brock has said he enjoys wrestling smaller guys.
Mm-hmm.
He said it's more of a challenge for him wrestling smaller guys than it is wrestling bigger guys. He's like, bigger guys, it's like all people are looking for is to see if I can pick him up, to see if I can throw a German, see if I can do an F5 or whatever. He's like, with the smaller guys, they're faster, they're more agile. He's like, it's a lot more fun to have those type of matches because you have two different styles. With the big boy matches, you've just got two big dudes beating the crap out of each other. After a while of those type of matches, the story gets boring.
Yep.
And that's why he's like wrestling, AJ Styles, Bryan Danielson, Cody Rhodes, people like that. So it's been refreshing for him to actually be putting on good matches and looks like he's actually enjoying himself in the ring.
Well, in the first match at SummerSlam, Logan Paul and Ricochet, I just read this literally like 10 minutes before I actually sent you the link.
Mm-hmm.
Logan Paul requested that his match be the first, and they granted this to him.
Well,
because of his brother.
Yeah, his
Yep.
brother had a boxing match and he needed to leave because he wanted to be in his brother. He wanted to be there to support his brother. I respect that. I don't
Yep.
have any problem with that. That wasn't like an ego thing or anything where, oh, I've had my match. I don't care about anybody else's. He was wanting to be there for his brother, show his support. I have nothing
Yep.
but respect for that. My only issue, the match was excellent.
Yep.
The athleticism with these two dudes, people were making fun of it. On my brother was one of them. He was texting me, making fun of it. He's like, this is just dumb, and he's like trashing Ricochet and all this, and it's like, I'm like, dude, and then I'm like, I loved it. I thought it was great. Um, they're both of them. The athleticism, we already knew Ricochet's athleticism
Yep.
is off the chart, but Logan Paul again impressed. You know, my only issue was I didn't really feel like Logan Paul should have won that match. That was Ricochet's first match on a major pay per view on the main roster. He needed that win more than Logan Paul. It wouldn't have hurt Logan Paul to lose. It hurts Ricochet to take that loss because it just pushes him further down the card when Ricochet should be at least top of the mid card. I'm not saying not everybody can be a main event guy, and I get that, but Ricochet's been a U.S. champion for a cup of coffee, and that's about it on the main roster. And the dude's amazing, and the fans love him. It's like give him something to do, give him something he can sink his teeth in. Don't make him the jobber to the stars.
Put the U.S. title on Ricochet and let him hold it for a while.
Yeah,
That'd be the perfect one
yeah,
for him, because I mean
yeah,
it would look believable. Right now, I don't think he's ready for the world title, universe, whatever they're
yeah.
calling the top title. I don't think he's ready for that yet. But obviously, I mean, he's very ready to hold the mid card, or
Oh yeah,
the second title for, and hold it for a while, or be
yeah.
part of tag
Because I
team
mean,
champions. Hold it for a
he's going to
while.
exactly. He's going to bring fan interest because a lot of people like myself have watched him since the Indies, since New Japan, you know, and he's going to give you an excellent match every time he goes out there. Ricochet never disappoints. He gives you an excellent match every time, regardless of who he's in the ring with. So I agree. Give him a mid card title and let him run with it. That
Well,
was my only complaint about the match was Logan Paul going over.
when even if it took some yuts come over there and handing brass
Yeah,
knuckles, they never explained who the guy was either. Just one
no,
of
they
his
didn't.
entourage.
Yeah,
And
so
one of the things I noticed when they introduced Ricochet, he's apparently no longer from Paducah. He's now from Las Vegas.
yeah, because they used to announce him when he was in NXT. They always announced him from Paducah, Kentucky. Then he gets to the main roster. They do it for the first couple of months he was on the main roster, and then all of a sudden they just didn't announce where he was from at all. They just announced his weight and his name. That was definitely a Vince McMahon thing because unless you're from Texas, Vince McMahon does not want to acknowledge any of his wrestlers being from quote unquote the South.
Where's Vince McMahon from?
Exactly. North Carolina.
He is from Havelock, North Carolina.
Yeah. And that's why he doesn't want to be reminded of any of that. And so he just kind of wipes that out. The only person that got away with it, it was probably Hardcore Holly because he's from Mobile, Alabama. But Hardcore Holly probably would have beat the crap out of Vince McMahon if he tried to change it. So,
I mean, Hardcore Holly apparently in a meeting one time they were trying to figure out what to do with the world title, because I don't remember what the circumstances were, but they were going to have to find somebody to put it on. He said, "Well, just put it on me. I'll just beat everybody." And
yeah.
it's like, all
I
right,
mean, a Hardcore Holly world title run would have been interesting because, I mean, the dude was legit. He was legitimately tough.
mm-hmm.
I mean, he could give you a good match, he could give you a good promo, you know. So it would have been interesting to see, him as a world champion.
And if anybody's wondering, why Vince McMahon wouldn't make an exception for Texas, because Texas are kind of their own thing.
Yeah.
You ask anybody from Texas, and they'll tell you that.
Yeah. Plus, you've got Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, Mark Henry,
Mm-hmm.
You got those guys coming out of Texas. Steve Austin, of course. So
Yep. And those are just one, the Von Erichs, of course. I mean,
yeah, yep,
um, and some of the other ones, older generation territory guys.
mm-hmm,
BC would know exactly what we're talking about.
yep,
So, but we already talked about Cody and Brock, but
yep,
the next match they had on there. If anybody wants to know how hard it is when you have a battle royal, Royal Rumble,
mm-hmm,
anything like that, where you have, in this case, it was 25 people, and you try to say before you ever watch it, oh, the winner is going to be this person.
mm-hmm,
This one, you literally have a 4% chance of getting it correct, which means you have
mm-hmm,
a 96% chance of getting it wrong.
yeah,
Waylon texted me. He said, "LA Knight wins the battle royal," and that was it. Didn't say anybody. No, just said LA Knight's winning this.
mm-hmm,
And sure enough, LA Knight won. They finally did something right by LA Knight.
yeah. And that arena, the roof came off. It was, I mean, that ovation he got when he won, that pop was fantastic. I mean, my thing, can we just strap the rocket to this dude and go? I mean, he's proved he got over on his own, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and we don't have a Vince McMahon in the way to crush that because we know how Vince hates for people to get over on their own. He is over. He is super over. He is excellent on the microphone. He is, to me, he is in that upper echelon of promo guys. He went toe to toe with the Miz. The Miz is in that echelon of promo guys. I will give him all the credit in the world. The Miz can cut a great promo on a regular basis.
Yes.
LA Knight went toe to toe with him. Really beat him in the battle, and that says a lot. Beating the Miz in a promo battle. Um, just and the concern is his age. He's I think he's 39 or 40. Brock Lesnar's almost 50. You're still putting him in big time matches. Give the dude this chance. He has proved himself the world over. It's his time right now. They need to go while he's hot because they're going to wait too long and it's going to cool off because people are going to get disappointed because he's not moving up, and then the popularity wanes, and that's generally when WWE decides, oh, well, let's make him the world champion now, and it's like then the fans aren't going to care like they care right now.
And it's one of the things, like we've always said, let it happen organically.
Exactly.
When they kept shoving Roman in everybody's face, oh, you're not
Yeah.
just going to like him, but he's going to be the champion, and he's going to be the good guy. He's going to be popping. You're going to cheer for him. Everybody's like, no,
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. It's like no.
no.
And when they let him, you know, when they let him do his own thing, he got over. He
Mm-hmm.
got huge. I mean, he became a huge star, bigger than they could have ever, bigger than the machine could have ever done. Roman got himself there because they got out of his way.
Oh, and speaking of people being pushed to the moon for no reason whatsoever, except for already having name recognition before they appeared in WWE, Ronda Rousey
Uh, here's the
lost
thing.
to Shayna, thankfully.
Thankfully, thank God she did
And
because I was going to be.
thank God that match ended because I was that. Did you hear the crowd start chanting "boring" when they were watching it?
Yeah. And here's the thing. I hate that for Shayna because the reason
So
the
do I.
match was boring was Ronda's fault because Ronda's boring. Shayna was doing everything she could to get a competitive match out of Ronda. Ronda was just not good enough to keep up with Shayna. And I'm glad they're finally seeing it. And but the main reason that Ronda lost is because she wants to leave and her contract had an early exit clause. So whenever she decided, oh, I don't want to do this anymore, she could exercise that early exit clause and leave. So that's why they had Shayna turn on her. And they thought that they were going to make Shayna the villain. but it didn't work.
No.
And Ronda still was the bad guy because everything that Shayna Baszler was saying is what all of us have been thinking the entire time that Ronda has been in WWE.
Well, because there's a huge difference between somebody who's already been advertised as a heel walking to
Mm-hmm.
grab the microphone. Oh, all you fans are stupid for booing me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they're like, boo, but, because they know it's part of it. It's another thing
Yeah.
to do interviews, like shoot interviews going, oh, the fans are just stupid. It's like,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's going to get you that go away heat.
Exactly. And people were tired of, you know, people got tired of her getting pushed over people who deserved that spot more.
The overhyped rookie.
The overhyped rookie. Yeah. Miss Bliss said it best.
Yes, she did.
And I'm just glad that Shayna won. They're finally giving Shayna some spotlight, and I'm glad Ronda's gone.
Uh, and so now I'm going to move on to the next match because that match was just horrible.
Yeah.
But the match that followed was brutal, like we thought it was going to be. It had some good moves, like we thought, and it ended the way we wanted because herein we were trying to do the math in our heads right before, start recording. But hopefully, within we'll just say go and just say 30 days, Gunther will have passed up
The Honky
Honky
Tonk
Tonk
Man.
Man.
Yep. He is, I figured it up. I finally got it. He is 25 days away.
But I say yeah,
From,
because our friend
from
Kyle.
today, he is 25 days away.
I say yeah, because our friend Kyle texted me and said we need to do an episode on September 9th. It may not be right on September 9th, just because I think that's a Friday,
Yeah.
or a Saturday. No, I think it's a Saturday. So we'll probably do it on September 11th, actually.
Yeah.
And so we'll actually cover that. How finally,
Yeah.
Honky Tonk Man is no longer the record holder.
Because here's the thing, they are not going to, Gunther's going to hold it for the next 25 days. There is no way they cut this reign short when he is this close from that record because WWE loves to break records.
Yep.
And there's no way, there's no reason that the Honky Tonk Man's reign has held, the record has held this long. Absolutely. With all of the talent that has come through the doors of that company in the past several decades, there's no reason why the Honky Tonk Man should have been the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion for 35 years.
Yeah.
Because he dropped the title to the Warrior at SummerSlam 88.
88. Yep. Because he won it from Steamboat like 3 weeks after WrestleMania 3 because
Yep.
Steamboat pissed off Vince McMahon.
Yeah, because Steamboat wanted to
spend some time with his family.
Spend some time with his family, God forbid.
And, yeah.
I think his wife was pregnant and about to have the baby.
She had just had the baby.
Yeah,
yeah.
And Vince was mad because it threw off all his plans for Steamboat as the Intercontinental Champion. So, yeah, they had Honky Tonk beat him, and then Honky held it from 3 weeks after WrestleMania 3 until SummerSlam 88. And then the record stood for 35 years until Gunther beats it.
Yep. And I'm saying now, if they have Gunther lose the title right before that time, I will riot in my front yard.
And here's the thing. I'm thankful that Triple H is booking because I could see Vince doing it.
Yep.
I could see Vince doing it out of spite because we're expecting it. And he always, well, I know what the fans want better than they do. No, you don't.
No, you don't.
No, you don't. Because we want Gunther to win the title. Here's my thing. I want Gunther to break that record. Then I want him to drop the Intercontinental title to Chad Gable. Chad Gable deserves a singles run. He is a tremendous technical wrestler. Can always give you a great match. Give him a run with the IC title. Gunther then destroys Seth Rollins and wins the World Heavyweight title.
There you go.
Because right now, Roman's not dropping the title at least until WrestleMania. He's not. There's no There's no way Roman's losing that title until WrestleMania. It makes no sense
True.
to have him lose the title anywhere else. Even at because Survivor Series is not what it used to be. It's not the big pay-per-view like it used to be.
Yeah, I don't think of it as like that anymore.
It makes no sense for him to drop it at the Rumble because the Rumble is the start of the road to WrestleMania. And Roman's still the final boss. He's the end game. So I have no issue with him holding the title until WrestleMania because whoever beats him at WrestleMania should be Cody Rhodes, but whoever beats him at WrestleMania, that's a huge deal because you've beaten the fourth longest reigning world champion in the history of this company. That's a notch in your belt that nobody can ever take.
By the way, I don't think that Gunther is going to beat Seth Rollins. I think he's going to beat Damian Priest.
That would work too.
Yep.
Damian Priest cashes in,
Yep.
wins the world heavyweight title, and then Gunther chops the living soul out of him
And he will
and
too.
takes it. He's
Whew.
going to chop him to death. He's going to hit that massive power bomb, and then Gunther's your world
Or
champion. And I'm
one of his other moves, because I mean,
the
Gunther
dude's
is
he's
he's
got an
not.
arsenal.
Yeah, I mean, he's not flashy, but
Mm-mm.
he's just effective. He knows every
Yeah,
single move, counter move, and that's why, when they first put the title on him, I don't think they had designs on him being the longevity guy.
yeah,
But then the fans started reacting
yeah.
to him, and
Because the
so
fans have been behind him since the Indies, you know, and then he comes to NXT UK, and the fans were losing their mind then, and then you know he's the longest reigning NXT UK champion ever. And now he's about to be the longest reigning Intercontinental champion ever. If he wins the World
thankfully,
Heavyweight title, let him have a run with that too, and let him have a long reign with that. Because right now, would I love to see him wrestle Roman, potentially beat him? Yeah, because I think it would be great. But that ain't the story right now. And Roman ain't losing it yet because there's still a lot of steam in this bloodline story. So even though a lot of people are getting tired of it, I think the way they're working it is making sense. And for me, as long as it makes sense, I'm good with it.
and of course, with me bringing up him not beating Rollins, the next
Mm-hmm.
match was Rollins and Finn Balor.
Yeah, Finn Balor should have won that match.
Yeah,
I feel like it would have made sense, especially for the bloodline, not bloodline, Judgment Day faction. Dominic is the NXT North American champion. Rhea Ripley is the women's world champion. Damian Priest has money in the bank. Finn is odd man out because he has nothing. It would have made perfect sense because you're building to a feud between Finn and Damian Priest anyway. So why not have Finn Balor beat Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight title? Then the group looks complete and looks like they're just ruling the company. But then you've got Damian Priest still eyeing the world title every time they're together. And eventually he cashes in and takes the title from Finn. The feud starts. Finn gets kicked out of the Judgment Day because the other three are champions and Finn's got nothing. And they see him as the weak link. So they kick him out. Like I said, you're building to the feud anyway. Why not give them something to feud over?
exactly. And like you said, I mean, it'd also be the way. Well, if Finn were to win it while he's still part of them,
Mm-hmm.
Damian Priest cashes in, beats him, and then kicks him out. That's their
Yeah,
way of turning on him and saying,
exactly. Pull
yeah,
the same thing they did to Edge. Because Finn Balor came into the Judgment Day, and then the three of them turned on Edge and kicked him out. It'll come full circle, and the same thing will happen to Finn.
yep. And that match, I mean, I didn't think it was bad. And we knew Judgment Day were going to interfere somehow.
Oh yeah.
Seth doing the curb stomp on the briefcase. I still don't like the curb stomp. I hate it. That's just me. Never been a fan of it, but I did like how Finn, he did the buckle bomb on Seth outside, because that's how,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
so so they did that callback. That part was kind of
Yeah.
cool for those who've been
I
watching a
like the
while.
I like the paint that he had on that said 7 because it was 7 years ago
Yep.
that, you know, he had to relinquish the Universal title after winning it.
Now I do wish Judgment Day they would go ahead and pull the trigger on that and have them, you know, kick Balor out or have Balor win the title. Damon cashes in, then kick him out.
Yeah.
Either way, they've been dragging this out a little bit too long to me.
Yeah, I
But
agree. And
um,
I mean, it's a good story there. They're just dragging it. They're just dragging their
they're
feet with it
dragging it
now.
out. And now, did you call what happened at the end of the next match? The triple threat, Bianca. I'll have to go back and look at the text that you sent when you were doing those predictions. Um,
Let me look because I may have called that. Let
yeah,
me look.
because actually, you know what? I took a screenshot before I sent it to Justin so we could have it for the show. But um, yeah, because I don't remember if you called. There it is. Hold on, let me see. Oscar retains.
I was wrong.
So that one yeah, that part you're wrong. Um and you didn't have anything about Io Sky, because I think we all thought it's too early. It's not ready for her to cash in yet. Apparently we were wrong.
Yeah. It was a good match. I was honestly surprised that Bianca Belair was the one who won to um, kind of transition the title to EO with the cash in. Um, I personally felt like it should have been Charlotte simply because Charlotte shouldn't have been there in the first place. So she's the one who should have got cashed in on because she has a history of people cashing in money in the bank on her. So so I need to keep that trend and just do it that way. But they did keep the world title off of Charlotte. So I'm okay with that. Bianca was the transitional champion in the match, but now we get Io versus Asuka eventually. And that is what I've been waiting for the entire time because I've seen them do it in Stardom, and Lord have mercy, those women are stiff. They are
So
that
they do the Japanese strong style.
yes,
Okay,
yes,
good. I'm yeah,
yes,
I'm wanting to see that.
yeah. And not only do you have that, you've got Io Sky who can do the strong style, who can do the technical stuff and the high flying stuff. You've got Asuka who is just a monster in the
Oh
ring.
yeah.
It's that's your money. Just like we always said, Shayna and Ronda was your money match. This is your money match. This is your money feud for the women's title. It's Io Sky and Austin. We need to get Belair and Charlotte. Let them have their own feud
Mm-hmm.
because let them do that and get them out of the title picture right now. It needs to be Asuka and Io over the title.
And I think Belair and Charlotte, the reason why you have them in their own thing, because their backgrounds are very similar.
Mm-hmm.
They're both legitimate college level athletes
Yeah.
because they both were athletes at their respective colleges.
Yeah.
And Bianca, I mean, we've seen the kind of strength moves she can do. I mean, like I said,
Mm-hmm.
she has that Cesaro or Claudio
Yeah.
type strength. I mean,
Yeah.
you look at it and you're like thinking, man, I don't think she has any muscles. And all of a sudden she's pressing people above her head and
With one
one
arm.
hand. And it's like, okay, she's got that crazy, crazy strength. And
Yeah.
Charlotte, I mean, we forget about, I mean, how strong she is.
Charlotte's strong. And I take nothing away from Charlotte's ability. She is an excellent pro wrestler. I just don't like the fact that they've shoved her down our throat. In, I mean, 8 years. She came on the main roster in 2015. 8 years, she's amassed 16 world titles. It's like, no, that just waters
Right.
down every reign. It's like,
That may have been the
we,
reason why they didn't have her be the 5-minute transitional champion.
Could be. So she wouldn't get 17, so she wouldn't beat Daddy's record.
Could have been, and I'm pretty sure Bianca gets home to Montez Ford, because people don't know they're married in real life, and he
Hmm.
says, "Hey, how are the matches tonight?" She's like, "Well, I won the title from a Japanese lady, then another Japanese lady beat me
They
right
beat me.
after." So,
It's like
uh,
one of them beat the brakes off me, but I beat her, and then the other one beat the brakes off me and took my title.
took her
So
title.
either way I got beat up.
I got beat up.
But side note, real quick, um, I like what they're doing with the Profits and Bobby Lashley. I hope this is like the Hurt Business
Oh,
2.0.
I haven't been catching it.
Bobby Lashley showed up on SmackDown, wanted to have a talk with the Street Profits. So they get in the limo and they go. The next week, they're talking. Bobby Lashley's like, y'all need to dress the part and all this, you know, y'all have been successful, but not as successful as you could be if you do this, this, and this. So then the next week, Dawkins and Montez are wearing suits.
Mm-mm.
They come out and attack every tag team that's competing on the show. And I feel like we're getting the Hurt Business. I just feel like we do, and I hope we do because they never should have disbanded them in the first place.
And I think Montez Ford and Bobby Lashley, both of them being actual legit veterans,
Mm-hmm.
so they already have they
Yeah.
know that mentality of pushing forward,
Mm-hmm.
pushing forward.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so, oh man, I'd like to see that actually. I say
Yeah.
bring back the 6-man titles,
Yeah. Yep.
and put it on them. Or have the Freebird rule, have them to
Mm-hmm.
figure out who's going to, defend it. Um, but yeah, I mean, Io Sky, I was glad to see Bailey coming back, because everybody been kind of, and us included, we've been kind of discounting Bailey because I mean she's not been doing it much lately, because Control Alt Delete or whatever they're calling themselves is,
Yeah.
yeah, they're breaking up, and then all of a sudden,
Yeah.
Dakota Kai shows up.
And he was last minute, like during the show,
Yeah,
so that she could be there when EO won the title. So she could be there in person when EO won the title.
and so now they're, what are they called? I not say Control Alt Delete, but what's their
Damage
damage
control.
control? Yeah, like I said, folks, we're getting old. Dwaylen's half a century old. I'm turning half a century old here in a little over 2 weeks. I mean, and next year we're going to be hiding our own Easter eggs. I'm telling you. So
but that was a really good match. I enjoyed the outcome. Um, you know, Io's a great wrestler. We'll see where they go with it, but hopefully it's leading to her and Asuka in a feud for the title.
the last match, and this is what we were, when we were chatting earlier today, talking about what we were going to talk about tonight. Um, because we're going to talk about the fallout from this, but Roman and Jey Uso, they're legitimate cousins, and a tribal combat, whatever, just call
It was a
whatever.
street fight. It
It's
was
a
a street
street
fight.
fight. Yeah,
Yeah, for
yeah,
the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. Everybody knew going in that Jay was not winning the title,
right.
but they did an excellent job of making us think, oh, are they actually going to do it? Because I mean, there was some
Mm-hmm.
close calls there to where I thought they might actually have Jay win this thing. But what everybody's up in arms about on Twitter, not calling it X, it's still Twitter.
It's
And, yeah, people are like, "Oh, that's just dumb. I'm tired of the Bloodline story now because they had Jimmy turn heel." No, no, they didn't. They did. People didn't want to wait and let the story kind of play out. Jimmy explained himself on SmackDown. He said that he did it because they had it looking like Jay was about to win. Jimmy comes out and stops him, interferes and stops him. He said, "I did not want you to turn into him." He's like, "If you had beaten Roman, you would have become the tribal chief and you would have started down that road and eventually became just like him." He's like, "And I was trying to save you from that because we all know what Roman is." Roman's perfect in the background on SmackDown, standing there looking just terribly offended that he's pointing at himself like, what's wrong with me? And but the match was a good street fight. Solo got involved, of course, and all that. But Roman ends up winning because Jimmy interfered. Jimmy didn't turn heel. Jimmy's still against Roman. He just did what he thought was saving his brother from an even worse fate. Then Jey super kicks everybody in the face. Loved it when Jimmy's walking away. You know, Jey is beating everybody up in the ring, gets out of the ring, tells Jimmy to come down, like they're going to reconcile. And the crowd's all like, oh my God, okay, the Usos are back. And then Jimmy gets close and Jey super kicks him too. And then says, I'm out of the bloodline. I'm out of WWE, all this. And the memes are all over Twitter that Jey Uso is all elite. They're like, isn't it convenient that Jey Uso, says he's leaving WWE when All In is right around the corner? He's not going to AEW, people. It's
And
just.
I think it's a work. And by the way, the match wasn't bad. The match was just so long.
It was very long.
36 minutes.
If they'd have shaved about 15, it should have been about 20 minutes.
Yep.
Match,
maybe 25.
Yeah, match length 20-25 minutes. But yeah, it was too long. It was a good match, but it was too long. Yeah, by the end, you're like, hurry up and get to it. But I think Jey storyline leaving WWE because they don't want to pull the trigger on the Uso feud just yet. The Usos have always wanted to have a match with each other. They're like, we don't necessarily want to break up, but we want to wrestle each other at least once. But they want to do that at WrestleMania.
Yep.
So him leaving, say they have him leave for a few months, come back like toward the end of the year, beginning of the year, then they can build more to that match. It also gives Jimmy time to get to be a better singles wrestler because Jay's had that opportunity to become a good singles wrestler when Jimmy was out hurt. Then they went back to the tag team when Jimmy, got better. Give Jimmy a chance to kind of feud. It gives Jimmy a chance to feud with Roman, get much better in the ring. He's already good on the mic, but it lets him get much more comfortable being a single star before he starts the feud with his brother. But I absolutely think it's a work. That Jimmy ain't leaving. There's one, he's just not. His brother's there, his cousin's there.
Yeah, both of his brothers are there.
Yeah, both of his brothers are there, his cousin's there. But besides that, there's just too much steam left in the story. There's too much money on the table for him to just up and leave.
And one of the things I do like that it was a surprise when Jimmy showed up, under the the hood. Now when they first showed him pulled out, the Usos, the twin brothers, they have a certain stance. It's them. Their body.
Yeah.
I was like, is that Jimmy Uso?
Yeah.
Pulled a thing, and sure enough, it was him. So, but the way they did that, because they said, "Oh, Jimmy's injured," that was actually something else. People are like, "Was that a shoot or a work?"
Yeah.
And because people were speculating, all of a sudden he shows up, it's like, "Oh, I guess it was a work."
Yeah.
Now they're saying Jay's leaving. Well, guess what, folks? I'm gonna say
It's
that's
a work.
also work.
Yeah. They had to write Jimmy off for a little bit in order for Jey and Roman to get that part of the story built. So they used Roman and Solo taking out Jimmy. That way it leaves Jey by himself. And then that part of the story gets told. Jimmy comes back. So, it all made sense. A lot of people were complaining that they're like, oh, it was a stupid finish, or it doesn't make any sense. Or if you stop and think about it, all of it made sense. I don't think they've done anything in this entire storyline that didn't make sense.
I mean, and I think at WrestleMania, I mean, I do think it's on the downslope, the whole bloodline.
Well, yeah, it's headed toward the end,
right.
But there's still some room to get some good storytelling left in it, as long as they keep being consistent like they have been. Now, if they do something stupid and jump the shark, and then I get being frustrated with that. But I think right now, I think it's still good, and it's still interesting to watch and see where they're going.
And I'm actually kind of glad people are no longer talking about The Rock coming back and facing Roman, because honestly, I don't want to see that. Um, but I will say this about Jay and Jimmy going against each other.
Hmm.
You know how like the 2K games you could actually set like your own feuds?
Yeah.
I actually did have that. I had one of them turn on the other. I think it was on
That's hilarious.
2K19. Now it's happening in real life. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
all right, cool.
Yeah.
So um although I do wish that at some point WWE would have taken the advantage of the fact that they are twin brothers.
Hmm.
They never did. Because I
Yeah.
mean, I shouldn't be able to look at two identical twins and be able to tell them apart,
Yeah.
but I mean, that's them. Jay has the short hair, Jimmy's hair is a little bit longer.
Hmm.
And I think by them having Jay supposedly leaving and not Jimmy,
Hmm.
because if Jimmy left, people would really think, oh, that's a shoot because his wife is wrestling in Impact.
Yeah, exactly. She's right now. She is the Knockouts world champion.
And there you go. You know,
Yep.
so um so that may be why they had, oh, you know what? If Jimmy leaves, Jimmy might actually not he might actually leave and not come back.
Yeah. It's like, I'm gonna go be with my wife,
I'm gonna be
but
with my wife,
yeah.
so um oh, but I mean, I thought SummerSlam was a good show. Our buddies in the DWO, they were actually there at the show.
That's awesome.
You were there last year. They were there this year.
Hmm.
At one point, when Santos Escobar was in the Battle Royal, it looked like he was wearing a DWO shirt. Now, I
It
meant to
did,
ask
and
Mike about that.
yeah, I kept looking at it, but I couldn't ever tell what the D stood for. But yeah, it looked like a Dad World Order shirt.
Right. So, um, like I said, go check out their show. They're going to be live, but they always do
Hmm.
their stuff live. I
Hmm.
think it's 8:30 tomorrow night. It's on YouTube. You can also check it out. Our stuff. It's also on YouTube and on any audio platform you can think of. And we were mentioning, Twitter X or X Twitter or whatever.
X Witter.
Yeah, X Twitter.
Twix. That's
Yeah,
it. It's
Twix.
Twix.
There we go. We are renaming Twitter Twix.
Twix. Yep.
So you can find us on Twix at Booking Armchair. and if you and here lately, I actually followed Pure Wrestler. It's a Japanese name, but they show a lot of old classic matches, especially from
Hmm.
Japan. Love watching those, and they show like the highlights of them. And some of these matches I
Hmm.
didn't even know existed, and so you really get to see somebody like Stan Hansen, how
Hmm.
good he was in the ring. I had
Yeah.
no idea. I mean, I knew Stan Hansen was good. I didn't realize he was as good as what he was. So,
Oh yeah.
some reason,
Yeah.
you land in Japan and all of a sudden you can do these moves that people never see you do in the States.
Because you get this freedom to do this. It's like in the States, it's like you get kind of like St. Hansen got, he was the mean, tough cowboy, the mauler and everything. But in Japan, he was still that, but got to showcase more of his ability in
Yep.
Japan.
And yeah, so go follow us that on Twitter. Also follow at the Rockstar 73. That is, Dwayne's intellectual rock star. By the way, go check out his podcast. Hey, when you putting out another episode, dude, just gotta ask.
Hopefully soon. It has been so busy with the food truck. So I'm hoping that I can get a new episode soon, because I need to get that back up and going.
Because yeah, it's kind of like working out. Once you don't do it for a little bit, it's hard to get back into it.
Yeah.
Because we know that personally from the times we've had because
Yeah.
of various reasons, we weren't able to record. So you can also check out my other podcast, the Cubicle Chat. That's on Twitter at Cubicle. I'm sorry, that's at Twix at Cubicle_chat. You can find all our stuff on Facebook as well. You can also email the show at armchairbookingpodcast@gmail.com. What is the intellectual rock star? What is that email?
The intellectual rockstar podcast at gmail.com.
There you go. And email the Cubicle Chat, Cubicle Chat Podcast at gmail.com.
Mm-hmm.
See. But yeah, find us on theirs. And like I said, we definitely we're giving our shout outs earlier. I still feel bad because Finish Your Wrestling, they hit me up today and I still forgot about them when I was giving our shout outs. And I feel really bad about that because those guys are absolutely awesome. Hopefully we can record them soon, fingers crossed, because we've been playing it, and then something fell through.
Yeah.
Playing it, and then something fell through.
Yeah.
In the meantime, even if we're not on their show, go check out their show anyway, because they are absolutely, like I said, great analytical minds. And Professor Bear at the Wrestling Society Network, we were supposed to actually meet up with him at some point, and
Yeah.
we haven't yet. So we need to hit him up again too, because he's another great dude. We were just on the show with him. I have no idea what happened with that.
Yeah. I don't either.
So I need to hit him up and go, hey, where's that one?
Yeah.
Because
Where's that?
we want to put that over so people will go
Yeah.
and listen to it. Um, Another dude loves his wrestling, loves his video games.
Yep.
He's our friend. He
Yeah.
really is for a lot of reasons. And just check out all the great ones. BC Hunter with Wrestling with the Truth. The guys from Dead World are Mike and Eric, and the wrestling belt guy. I cannot think of his name because we only had Mike and Eric on our show. The wrestling tees guy, the other,
Oh yeah.
they're third. But those guys, I mean, they love their wrestling, and like I said, they were just at SummerSlam, and of course, we cannot forget Ted the Hillbilly Heel.
Yep.
Because we've also been trying to get on his show once again. When plans fall through for one, they kind of fall through for everybody, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So but hopefully we'll be able to, Wednesday night we're supposed to record with Andrew Reed. It'll be his first time on the show. He's a great dude. I've actually spoken to him, many times in person. And we might actually be doing a t-shirt swap this Saturday at the Summer Sizzler. I
Cool.
have his shirt. It's actually sitting right back there. I have a shirt for him and for Riley Matthews. So be able to, because Riley has been such a supporter of the show. She's been on the show twice. And so I said, you know what? I said, I'm going to get you a shirt.
Yeah.
And not only that, but we need all the support we can get because of Noah, Noah
Yeah.
Gabriel, laying a snot rocket in one of our show shirts.
Yeah.
So, and then even beyond having Andrew on, hopefully we'll be able to record again this week, but hopefully we can. And if we can't, we apologize, but we are trying, but sometimes, life things just have to take priority. So, but until we can talk again, my friend, I'm just going to say good night and God bless.
God bless.